When is tolerance enabling and or masochism? You may remember we talked about yes to what is not always a yes on the verbal external level. It's an inner attitude, an inner state that you bring to the situation. And out of that inner state of openness and alert attention, which goes with the yes to what is, alert attention, which is intelligence, out of that the right response comes for that situation. And the right response for that situation is not necessarily the word yes, or yes, go ahead, yes, hit me over the head, is not necessarily what comes out of your mouth. Out of that, it's quite possible that the word no comes out of your mouth. No, that's not right, that's not it. I'm not going there. So be careful not to mistake that state of, because the yes to what is a state of consciousness. It's not the literal, sometimes it is, but it's not always a literal yes that you agree with whatever somebody is doing. Somebody may be at this moment committing an act of violence, and it is within your field of possibility to do something about it, and then you will see the situation and you will act, perhaps to stop what's happening. Nobody can predict what you will do out of presence, but it will be right. So there is great strength in the yes to what is, very great strength. Whenever you have said what you had to say, in any situation, step back into stillness. Otherwise, the mind will take over and it will become a non-ending stream of words. You have all witnessed that in other people and perhaps in yourself. People can go on and on about the same thing, and again they're dragged along by a mind stream. Okay, enough, okay. And then they're quiet for 20 seconds. Oh, now just one more thing. And while they're quiet for 20 seconds, you can feel the energy build up in them. Like, and that dissolves only through, again, bringing alert attention from where you can observe the mind rather than be it. Your speaking then becomes more powerful. Any words that you say become more powerful because they always come directly out of the stillness. The strange thing is, you may have noticed almost all the questions, the answer to all the questions always takes you back to the same point, the same origin. It's always the same answer in a way, in different aspects. And basically, all the questions are the same question. And once you've gone very deep into the answer, which is in yourself, that's the end of the questions. There's another question on this sheet of paper. How can you witness and feel your feelings at the same time? One could say, you cannot really feel your feelings until you witness your feelings. Because until you witness, you observe, bring awareness to your feelings, you are your feelings. So you don't feel them, you are them, you act them out. And most importantly, your feelings and your thought processes are linked. Feelings energize thought processes that reflect those particular feelings, and the thought processes, the story, adds further energy to the feelings. And this is how certain feelings survive in the body long after an event has passed, which feelings that in an animal would just pass through, in humans gets associated with a story that you can keep telling yourself and others, and so you can keep the feelings alive, the vicious circle. So you're not really feeling your feelings, you are so immersed in them that you are the feelings. So it's called identification. And so when you bring awareness, there is a place from where you can truly feel the feelings. And as you do that, the story is taken out, because awareness replaces thinking. There's a shift then from being identified with the story in the head, the thought processes, to being the aware presence. So you're no longer fueling the feelings with stories in the head. And now you can watch and feel them directly, whatever it may be. Feel it as an energy field in the body. But also be aware of yourself as that which looks, sees, feels, the field of attention. In the same way that you look externally at a tree, you are aware of sense perceptions. Flowers, trees, you listen. Bring awareness to sense perceptions. That is an enormous help in bringing awareness to your feelings. The more awareness you bring to sense perceptions, the easier it is to bring awareness to what you feel inside, because it's simply a shift from externally directed awareness. Ultimately, nothing is external because the entire universe takes place inside you. but let's just put it like that. Externally directed awareness and inner directed awareness. So you are present within and present without. So the enormous importance of being present without, also as far as your inner life is concerned, because it's one awareness. One could ask a similar question. How can I witness eating an apple see what the question was, and feel this, how you're eating the apple at the same time? It's only when you truly are present as you eat the apple that you can truly feel and taste the apple. Before, it's a process that is semi-conscious or even totally conscious. Eating goes back to a very long time. Ingesting substances and you can observe certain humans engaged in intelligent conversation at a dinner table, and the moment they put something in their mouth, they go completely unconscious. They're totally, and they're not really tasting the food, they're just gobbling it down. And then when they've swallowed, they wake up for a moment again, and then they talk about literature or philosophy. But to really eat an apple consciously is a wonderful thing. Then you bring something that is usually unconscious, you make it conscious. Maybe that's called Tantra, if you do it with sexuality, but it could be any activity that would usually be very unconscious, that is an animal impulse in humans, and you bring consciousness to it, witness it, observe it. It then has a different quality, it becomes beautiful. And then you can truly taste the apple and be present. But there's always more than that which you witness. There is the witnessing presence. Who is that? What is that? That's you. Some people call it the I am. One person, an early 20th century spiritual teacher, Gurdjieff, whom some of you know, spoke of self-remembering. And really what he meant was to remember who it is that is doing this or experiencing this or perceiving this, not the story-based entity, not thinking, okay, I'm John Smith and I'm eating an apple. That's not it. No, John Smith is eating an apple at this moment. No, to sense that which knows, that which is aware, that in you that is aware that there is eating at this moment. So there's awareness of something, and at the same time self-awareness of the deepest sense of I. And so that is in any, whether you're eating an apple, watching a tree, engaged in some kind of action or activity, or watching an inner feeling. There's always the manifested and one could say, the unmanifested. We called it sometimes the background and the foreground. In the foreground is what happens. In the background is the field, the I am, the deepest I am, in which whatever happens is happening. Now it can happen that the background, that what we call here the background or the ground, which we could call being, the ground of being, it can happen that that ground is so intensely felt, realized, that what is occurring, one could almost say, is a shift. And this is how a deeply awakened being experiences the world. And that shift is what, as you're just awakening, what is foreground becomes the background. And that which you perceived as the background as you were awakening is realized in its vastness, that becomes the foreground. In other words, your sense of beingness, the spacious field of presence, is so vast and all-fulfilling that whatever is happening is just a little, sometimes I call it a ripple on the surface of the ocean, is the event. And you feel your own being or being so strongly that occupies the entire foreground. And any event is a background, a little background event. And so that is, from that place, certain Indian teachers say the world is unreal. It's absurd if we take that as a philosophical proposition and then start believing in it. It doesn't make sense. You can claim 100 times that the world is unreal, but the next moment something happens and you react. So where's the unreality of the world if the world upsets you so much? It was only an idea in the head. But they talk from that place where to them whatever happens is like a dreamlike structure. They can see how quickly it appears, how quickly it disappears. Any event, anything is fleeting. Of course it is. Right now you're here, in another now, on the same date, totally different surroundings. This has dissolved already. Gone. What hasn't dissolved is that which is aware. So some Indian teachers then, from that place where the vastness of the sense of I am or beingness, presence, the stillness, could say, is so vast, the I alive stillness, that becomes the foreground and any events become the background. But for many of you, as this is beginning to emerge, it could be better described as you sense it already coming in the background. And that's wonderful. It's more than most human beings on this planet now or in the past ever experienced. It's a wonderful thing. And it's from that place of the background having become the foreground that Jesus could say, I have overcome the world. And it's from that place, perhaps also, that Krishnamurti once in a talk, he was already quite old, said to his audience, "Do you want to know my secret?" And they'd been coming for 30 years waiting for the secret. And they all said, "Yes, please." "Okay, here it is," he said. "I don't mind what happens." I believe this question here has just been answered. You speak of using the senses to outer presence. What about going deeper and going beyond the senses? If everyone around you is complaining and building their story, what do? Say, "Is that so?" all day? Comment on their complaining, or spend less time with the unconscious people. Some days you would practice all day. The last statement is partially true, and not just some days. You will practice all day. Well, is that so is not necessary to say. The story is the momentum of the egoic mind. It will try to draw you in some way, to make you part of the story. The story, very often in people, is energized even more by their pain body. Then the story can be quite a violent story. So there's a story, but it's energized by enormous emotion, which is past emotion to a large extent, not necessarily generated by this little event that was the triggering event, but the emotion is far deeper. It's human pain that has lived in each human being for millennia and has built up. It is inherited human pain. But that what we call pain body, this energy field, this residue of past emotion, of past emotional suffering that lives in humans, tends to use the mind to renew itself, to feed on your thinking. And And that becomes the story that is energized by human pain. At other times, it may just be the mind pattern without the energizing effect of the pain body, but even that has a strong pulling power. Your greatest weapon, so to speak, is stillness as you listen to the story. And you will notice that's not a weapon that you can fight actively with, because the moment you fight the story in someone, you've become part of it. Even if you say you're in a story, you're telling, the moment you start talking, that will become a story. Your story will be that they have a story. Even if you say you're in a story, you're telling, the moment you start talking, that will become a story. Your story will be that they have a story. And they will insist, no, this is the reality. And they will tell you, no, you're in complete denial of reality. No, I'm not in denial of reality. So the most vital thing is simply to be there as a still presence. And is that easy? Yes and no. It is easier if you are connected with the inner body as the stories happen around you, as you're listening. So you're rooted here, deep within. And that keeps you still, keeps your mind still. And from there there's attention that flows out. And in that attention you're aware not only, we come back to the same again, you're aware not only of that which is arising in this moment, which is the story that you're listening to, you're also aware of the field of attention. And as you're aware